Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today I am back with another Horse Trainer Reacts to horse movies. Today we are continuing to watch Misty, the 1961 film about kids that want to buy this pony, Phantom, this pony mare that's apparently 3 from the Aztec Island Roundup. The kids have figured out that they need to save up money to buy this pony, and they have decided that they are going to train their grandfather's horses so that they are handled when he sells them instead of him selling them completely feral, and he's agreed to pay them the difference. So it's been very cool to see them training these ponies. There's a lot of good horse interactions in this movie, which makes it a really fun one to interact with. There are a lot of great horse interactions in this movie, which makes it a very fun one to react to. If you guys could go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos, that would help me out a ton. And let's go ahead and jump on in and see how this movie continues. That's a cute one. All right, see this like fighting with them like that? It's a bad idea. And you're really not gonna get anywhere by just hanging on the pony and trying to yank it places. Especially the size these kids are. Like, they cannot actually outmuscle these babies, and it's just gonna lead to the babies panicking and eventually rearing up and going over backwards, which is absolutely the last thing you want to teach these ponies. So I think they really need to go back to working on the pony together and having somebody flag the pony from behind if they aren't going to do my method of teaching the pony to give sideways to the pressure before they start pulling forward. Because pulling forward is going to create that backwards response so much faster than a sideways pull. And it's a bad habit you just don't want to train into the pony.
Stop fooling around with those foals and get ready for school. Yes, Grandma.
Yes, Grandma.
They're doing all this before school? Wow, that's very motivated.
And their blood. They're learning fast. I sure gotta say that for them.
I know, but there are other things just as important to learn, and we're not going to spoil them like some grandparents do.
It's good for her. I mean, they really shouldn't spoil them. It's great that they're excited about the ponies. It's great that they want to make all the money, but they still need to do all their other chores, make their bed, etc., which I guess they forgot to do this morning because they were too busy, running out to go play with ponies. So absolutely, this grandmother is right. They need to have manners still. They need to follow their duties, and this should be done above and beyond all their normal chores since it's their leisure activity that they've decided to do in order to save up money to buy a pony. I truly don't believe in spoiling anything. Kids, pets, horses, nothing.
Your nice school clothes, just look what you've done to them.
I just got them a little bit dusty, Grandma.
That's not a little bit dusty. They absolutely should change. I mean, he's not just a little bit dusty, he's covered in dirt because he slid on the ground trying to wrestle this pony. I wouldn't let my kids go to school like this either. It's important to teach them from a very young age to have respect for their appearance and take care and pride in being clean and organized. And they obviously don't care yet about that, so she needs to enforce it. Good for her.
You think your grandpa and I have given you too many chores to do?
I'll go and make my bed right away, Grandma.
I will too, Grandma. You can play with the foals all you like, but not until after your chores are done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like how she kindly sat them down and talked to them and was very matter of fact. Look, this is what needs to happen. This is what you have not followed through on, and sent them off to go do a better job. I think it was a really nice way of just being firm, but clear, not mean, and hopefully that they will be able to get their chores done as well as play with the foals if that's what they want to do with their leisure time. Because again, it's a leisure activity. It's not one of their chores or responsibilities. Oh, this one is so cute. And they did a very good job training that horse to where he just walked out of the pen and led up onto the trailer. He had a little hesitation, but very, very little. That was a good job, especially since we know he's never trailered before, and I'm sure they didn't work on the actual trailering. But it's an example of how just teaching them to walk calmly and be okay walking around different things means walking into a trailer becomes no big deal for a horse. It's really not as scary as we make it out to be because we insist on shoving and forcing them in. That's what makes it scary to them.
Is it 10 spell okay?
Oh, yes, fine.
You really earned it. I didn't expect to get $100 for that pony. Man gave you 100 and a quarter without batting an eye.
I'm glad that they've done a good job and that both they're happy and the grandfather's happy, and that whole deal is working out really well for them.
We're going to keep it.
It belongs to both of us. I mean, it's to buy the Phantom with, and she'll belong to both of us. I was gonna keep it in my bureau.
Do keep it in here.
I'm glad that they're not being greedy and they're able to have a conversation like who's going to keep the money, because obviously they both earned that money. That one bill was, you know, to split between both of them, but they're saving up to buy a pony together, so they don't really need to, you know, get change and divide that right away. I'm glad they can be mature and say, you know what, we'll just have one person collect all the money until we have all of it, and then we can use that lump sum to get the pony.
Boy, I'll sure be glad when school's out. It just interferes with everything.
You children get to bed.
School interferes with everything, takes too much time. Oh, kids. Wait until you have a real job and you're working 8 hours a day versus the 6 hours you were in school. And then you have to do other life responsibilities outside of your work, and you realize that actually when you were in school you had so much free time, an incredible amount of free time that you'll never ever have again. Is he gonna take the boat out on his own? Because I'm sure he's not allowed to do this, and he's definitely gonna get in trouble for it. It's also a very big boat to try to paddle by himself. It has an engine on it for a reason. It's really not a paddle boat. Oh, now he has the engine on. That's good. At least the boy seems fairly capable of driving and docking the boat on his own, even though I'm 100% confident he's not allowed to be doing this, and he's going to get in a lot of trouble for it. I'm sure there's so much pretty scenery on this island. He hears the horses call, so now he's gonna try to run and go find them. Oh no, he did not tie up that boat well at all, did he? I feel like he's gonna get lost following that horse's whinny. Now they know that he definitely took the boat, and that's more concerning, I'm sure. He's gonna be in so much trouble. He's found the ponies! Not sure why they were screaming this whole time, but you know, movies. I think crawling up to wild horses is actually going to spook them way more than just walking slowly up to them, because now you look like you're sneaking up on them, and that's going to raise alarm bells. Obviously the Aztec ponies are only semi-feral. They're really used to people being around them, so they probably wouldn't be spooked by you just walking up to them normally anyway, as long as you keep like some distance from them. But the crawling, I mean, even my horses that are like super well trained and so used to people, I think even they would kind of like look at you funny, maybe snort and back away if you crawled up to them, because it would just be weird and unnatural and probably trigger that like flee response from, you know, fleeing from mountain lions and whatnot, which is in their blood. So it seems like a bad way of approaching wild horses for sure. I mean, everything about this just seems like somebody hunting them, honestly. Which I know isn't his intention, but it's gonna spook him. Yep, sure enough, she caught sight of them and was like, I gotta leave. Oh, he might hurt them. So the stallion of the band came around behind him and reared up and acted like he was gonna strike at him. And the boy ran, which was a wise thing to do. I mean, he was acting like a threat to the herd, and so the stallion could easily be aggressive and could easily have hurt him had he not left. Obviously, horses are kind of peaceful by nature, so their first thought is going to be, can I intimidate you into leaving? But had that not worked, had the boy stayed there, I'm sure the stallion would have pursued being more aggressive with his advances and either injured the boy or continued to posture until the boy left. Kind of depending on how quickly the boy decided to get out of the situation. I doubt the stallion would really follow the boy that long, because he really doesn't have any motivation to. As long as the boy is leaving, that's all he really cares about, right? Because again, horses are peaceful by nature. Once the threat decides to leave, you don't really need to waste your energy chasing after it. You're just expending extra energy and leaving your herd behind, which is your safety, right? So better to stay with your herd and just watch and make sure that it doesn't try to come back. But they're gonna make this way more dramatic. Have Pony chase him all the way to the beach. Like somehow getting in the water is gonna save him from the pony, right? Even though I'm sure the pony is used to getting in the water all the time. On those hot summer days, I'm sure they do that to cool off. So that part's super unrealistic, but I get why they included it in the movie. It added a little more drama. Wasn't so far-fetched that you can be like, oh my god, that's completely ludicrous. But definitely, I don't think the pony would have chased him that far. Getting in the water would have made no difference if he had pissed that stallion off so much that he did feel like chasing him until he hurt him. But I mean, stallions are just not going to go out of their way to do that. The threat was obviously eliminated by the point that the boy turned and took off running. At that point, the stallion knew that the boy was more afraid of the stallion than the stallion was of him, and so he had won. So he didn't need to do anything else. But now he's gonna go back to his herd.
Hey, you call BB?
Yes, sir?
Asti Coast Guard is Asti Coast Guard 1. It's the BB boy.
Alright, so the Coast Guard found him because the grandparents are at this point freaking out about how their boat was found out in the middle of the water without the boy who's been missing. He's gonna get in so much trouble. Don't do that to your parents, your grandparents, whoever's looking after you. Don't just run away and expect them not to worry, because that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna worry.
Grandma's so sick with worry, she almost had to take to her bed. You got me so upset, all I can think of doing is taking you across my knee and wailing the tar out of you.
Sorry, Grandpa. I didn't mean to lose the boat.
He didn't even think about his actions. That's the problem.
You ever do a trick like that again, you lead off the mantle for a week. Go change your clothes.
They're very upset. I think they did a really good job of communicating that and explaining to him that this better never happen again, but they're not punishing him that severely, hoping that he's learned his lesson and he's never going to do it again. If it becomes a recurring thing, if he does it again after this, I'm sure the consequences will be far, far harsher. But you gotta always explain to people what was wrong and why they shouldn't do it before you start, you know, really punishing them for it, because perhaps they didn't even think about it, or perhaps they didn't realize just how bad whatever they were gonna do was.
I'm sorry, Grandma.
But he does seem truly sorry for what he did, so hopefully it's the last time.
Well, she's so different from all the other horses. It's like she knows he's something special or something.
Just a little more wary and cautious is what he means.
And she belongs to the Pied Piper. But yet she doesn't.
She's kind of a more alpha mare, and I use that term loosely because they've largely disproved that horses have real hierarchy in herds, but she's one of the more wary types that really keeps an eye out and has a pretty integral role in protecting the herd. Just like the stallion obviously has an integral role in that, but she kind of shares that pretty equally with him. And a lot of the other horses are not as responsible for keeping an eye out for danger, so that's what makes her special. And it's a lot about it, personality type and just her general way of being. It's not so much training or that she's like been forced into that role. It's just who she is, so she's just naturally assumed that role. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment of Misty. Definitely that boy is a troublemaker. And I think he's gonna continue looking for little ways to just be a little more adventurous than he's supposed to be. But overall, I mean, everything ended well, and he came back, well, they found him and got him back home safe and sound, so that was well. Hopefully he learned his lesson and he doesn't take the boat out and go to Assateague on his own. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment as always, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.